Now, you were speaking yesterday afternoon, and it was you were coming to the close of your session, and you talked about rewiring the brain. Now, and then you gave some very simple examples. So often we sort of go over of being told to memorize the
Right.
scriptures and things like that. But you brought in something yesterday which was, quite dynamic. And why don't you tell us about that?
Absolutely. Well, I'll just use myself as a personal example. I know for me, I went through some things in my childhood that really, when I finally got honest in the last few years, honest with myself and with our spiritual family around us, is I just really had a hard time trusting God, and it played itself out in different ways. I think the way that plays out usually is in terms of control, just wanting to control anything that we can because we are so afraid. We feel alone, kind of that orphan mentality.
Yeah.
And yet I've known God for 35 years,
Wonderful.
But in that struggle and that wrestling with the Lord about that question of can I really trust you, was exposed to a ministry called Life Skills International, Dr. Paul Hegstrom, and he just presented this really simple but profound truth of when you find an area that you struggle with, coming to the place where you discover the truth and replacing the lies that you've believed with the truth. Whether you believe the truth yet or not, write it down. So for me, I had to write what I have called my trust statements. Okay. And they were very simple statements of just, I will trust you. You can be trusted. You've been with me even when I felt like you weren't.
Yes.
And etc. I started actually by writing down all my fears, and then I flip-flopped those statements and turned them into statements of truth, the opposite of what I was fearing and feeling, and wrote them out, read them out loud.
What was the importance of writing them down?
So that I could read them consistently every day. And they say that Dr. Paul Hegstrom and others that study the brain, they've discovered that there's something about your brain hearing your voice speak things out loud. It literally affects the chemistry in your thinking so that you create new pathways of thought, so that where you would in the past respond in a situation without even thinking, you respond, you don't respond, you actually react.
Yes.
Kind of ruts in the road that are already created there. But when you do something out loud, you speak something out loud for at least 30 days, and for some it may take a little longer if it's a real big stronghold, but at least 30 days they've proven that that the old way of thinking literally begins to atrophy. They have like pictures of people's brains, prisoners coming out of prison and such, that struggled in specific areas, but you create a new pathway that's just, you don't even, after a while, have to think. It's just there.
Wonderful.
So it's just a neat, very simple but profound truth that I mean,
what
discovered.
you read out afterwards was just incredible, and that was just out of your own writing down your thoughts and clarifying that.